I'd like to call this Monday, September 19th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order. First, we'll do the invocation, and if Commissioner Jerry Simpson would lead us in the invocation, please.
Thank you, sir. Please bow if you wish. Our Heavenly Father, as we assemble again to deliberate the issues of the day, we ask your presence among us. Help each of us as commissioners to set aside any prejudices or grudges we may have and work together openly and collectively to serve in the best interest of our citizens. Lord, I also ask a blessing today upon our staff. They serve often and with little appreciation sometimes. Help them to know that we appreciate their service. Lord, we again find our country in the midst of serious challenges as we learn of additional terror attacks against our people. We can be thankful that the damage was minimal with no loss of life, and we comfort those in law enforcement as they deal with the stresses these events bring. Our prayers also go out, Lord, to the families of the young football players who were killed in the Richmond County wreck. Comfort them, Lord, with your love and grace. As always, shield and protect all those in uniform, both at home and abroad. It's in Christ's name I ask it. Amen. Amen. And we are fortunate this evening. It's always I'm always proud as the father of a major in the United States Marine Corps to have our Marines, and we have Jackson Lee that's going to lead us in our pledge. Jackson, introduce yourself and tell us who you're with.
I'm with the Bedford County Young Marines, and I'm here to talk about the Red Ribbon, lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's start the allegiance.
Good job.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll have a program here a little bit later with Jackson as well. Okay, next we'd like to have the employee recognition. In the background, the employee recognition program acknowledges employees are for full-time continuous service at the following intervals: 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, and 30 years of service. We would like to recognize the following employees for full-time continuous service with Union County local government: James Wilkerson in Growth Management, 5 years. Catherine Blackburn with Human Services, 5 years. Karen Tucker with Human Services, 5 years. Zeb Mullis in Emergency Services, 10 years. David Paschal, Community Services, 10 years. Sharon Walden, Sheriff's Office, 10 years. Pam Dennis in Human Services, 10 years. Crystal Fowler, Human Services, 10 years. Ray Green, Human Services, 10 years. Lucy Thurman, Public Works, 15 years. Debbie Cox, Administrative Services, in 20 years. Angela Udi, Sheriff's Office, 20 years. Temple Acoth in Human Services, 25 years. And the August retirements, we have Pamela Demarest in Public Health, 22 years, and Angel Rodriguez in Sheriff's Office for 12 years. I'd like to acknowledge those employees and service awards and recipients retirees for the month of September. And then next we have the proclamation of Red Ribbon Week, October 21st through the 21st to the 29th, 2016. Manager, would you like to give us a background on this?
Did you want Jackson to come forward and speak about this? Is
Good. Jackson, would you like to come forward?
I believe that's why he's here. Yes.
Okay. Jackson, if you would, just in the microphone there. Just, yep, there you go.
What the Red Ribbon is for, it's not just for just recognizing just drug demand reduction. It's just, that's what DDR stands for. That's what we do as a unit. We all gather in a classroom and we learn about this, what it looks like, what street names are for, and what people can use prescription drugs for. But mainly what the Red Ribbon is for is remembering a DEA agent that was sent to go in, try to he tried to rat out the cartels, but then eventually they found him out, and then they brutally tortured him, and then they threw him in a grave a couple weeks later, and they didn't quite find him until a couple weeks later after they tortured him. And so basically this is the reason why they have red ribbons, is so they can remember him just not like just a distant memory. They would remember him with this, and like that's pretty much what they would have this for.
All right, thank you. And we're looking at the proclamation. We need to adopt the proclamation for the Red Ribbon Week in Union County. That would be October 21st through the 29th. I'll have a motion on that.
Make a motion to adopt the proclamation for the Red Ribbon Week of October 21st through 29th in Union County.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. And Jackson, we've got a plaque here for you, and Mr. Simpson, would you like to present him with this?
Sure.
And if you'd like to come up and take a picture, you're welcome to do that.
And if I might, Mr. Chair, just for our audience, the mission of the Young Marine Program is to develop good citizenship and promote a healthy, drug-free lifestyle in our youth. So I think that's important for all of us.
Thank you very much. And Jackson, it's okay to say rat out in the county commissioner meeting. I know you got a little hung up on that. I rat out Commissioner Aikman's anytime.
All the time.
All the time. All the time I'm ratting him out.
I had the privilege of, as I said, having a son be an infantry officer in the Marine Corps and watch him go through officer training school and on as an officer in the Marine Corps. So when I see young men like you, it reminds me of the so many that I saw beside him in their service to our country. And you were certainly a treasure. We appreciate what you did.
Thank you, sir.
Quite well. Good job.
Thank you, Jackson. Okay, next we have informal comments, and I am seeing none on the paper, so I'm going to go to additions, deletions, and our adoption of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Commissioner Simpson had that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to ask if we could to take item 13 and add it to the regular agenda. I just have a question or two about that.
Item 13 on the consent.
That's right.
Okay.
The school's roofing request.
Let's move that to item number 18A. Okay, anything else?
Motion to approve as amended.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, and then the consent agenda
Motion to approve consent
as amended.
as amended.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right. That takes us to item 18, under new business, annual report from Monroe Union County Economic Development.
Yes, Chairman and Commissioners, in January of 2013, you entered into your partnership with the City of Monroe for the purposes of handling our economic development program. Since that point in time, originally we adopted an annual report that is updated on an annual basis by Mr. Platay and his team, and he is here to give you an overview of our last year as part of this partnership. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Platay.
Chairman Rushing, Commissioners, and Dakota, thank you again for all the support and economic development that you provide for us. Again, as stated, this is our annual report. Looking into last year, there were some milestones for 15 and 16. I want to list those off for you. It was We were awarded the ninth highest incoming investment of all the counties in North Carolina last year, and the previous year we were number one in that. The work plan resulted, just for this last fiscal year, of $8 million in capital investment. For each project, we generated 56 jobs. Now, that's extremely low considering our track record and what our goals are. The goals are $60 million a year and 300 jobs created per year. The year before, we had a fantastic year in the recruitment that came in, and so while this was a bad year for us and the lowest in my career, we did have a lot of all the recruitment, the job creation, everything else to digest over this past year. So as a result, the unemployment still dropped 19% over the last 12 months as we were digesting all those projects that came in. We also maintained the lowest unemployment for the 17th straight year in the Charlotte region for economic, within the Charlotte region, the 12 counties in North Carolina. We also were able to get $46,000 in additional grants come into our industries through lighting rebates, recycling, other things that Duke Energy, and other providers. As well as we got statewide recognition this year for our office with the North Carolina Economic Developer of the Year. So that was while the recognition of one was really a representation of our entire office.
And Mr. Platté is being very modest. He was actually recognized as the Economic Developer of the Year, so.
Thanks to support and letters from Cindy and others. Thanks. Existing industry, again, because we were low on the economic development recruitment side, existing industry is where our office begins and ends. So we held our 17th annual industry appreciation last September. We just held it again. The 18th was just held. So between the two, we've had a little over 300 people at those events over the last 2 years. Those industry leaders, and it's just a great way for us to connect and maintain those relationships. We've also started this past fall, this supervisory training as part of our seminar series. It's 6 seminars that are going on, and it's a result of a wage survey that was created to see what's going on within the wage environment for our industries. And this is one of those things that they wanted to see more about. And that training seminar was a huge hit. So we are actually doing it again this fall. And then coming in the spring, we'll do the same style seminars, but with leadership training. So just exceptional turnout. The feedback has been fantastic with that. We had contact with nearly 200 companies face-to-face, the interactions with those companies, not including what we do with our events. And we had 20 specific issues that had to be handled to help companies out throughout the year. And there it is. That's what we just went over. So the labor shed study, this is the second year that we've been able to conduct this, and the participation has increased every year. It just fantastic data that's coming out. This year last year was roughly 30% participation. We have nearly 40% participate in this. So the data is rock solid with that kind of participation, and it's county-wide. As you start to look at it, last year the numbers, when we looked at the manufacturing employees, the companies that are employed by the companies in the county that reside within the boundaries of the county, was roughly 61%. This year, because that scope broadened as our relationships have gotten better throughout the county, the number came down to about 51%, but that makes sense because there was a lot more participation along that Mecklenburg County line and the Lancaster County line. So that came down. That's probably low, given some of the participation within Monroe and Marshville was not as high as it was last year. So we're anticipating it probably the true numbers right in the mid-50s on that. Roughly 57% of those people live within the boundaries of Monroe. 20% live in the rural areas of the county. This is what's so amazing. So when I started back in '99, the wages were around $9 an hour for the hourly wage. Today it's 18. And that is just incredible, and that's because of the type of companies that are being brought in and pushing that level up. The average salaried worker, non-executive, now exceeds $72,000. So when you start looking at our engineers and those salary workers that are in the management, the supervisory, all that, that number has skyrocketed. So it's nice to see the wage that we're able to bring in and what the quality of life people can have here in Union County in a manufacturing career. And 27% of our workforce is aerospace, and that's probably the primary reason why all these numbers have gone up over the years, is because the pressures on the other industries to keep up with that aerospace industry. One of the greatest things that we experienced, Gretchen and I went to go visit one of our companies, and they specifically cited this wage survey. They took the data, went to their executives, and got a 20% across the board for every hourly worker. So 140 employees generated over $560,000 of additional income into our county just because of the study. So and that's happening all over the place. So we just don't even know how much of a benefit things like this that we do that don't cost a dime really just to go out and produce. Social media side, again, strong. So the social media is vital for us, and so focusing on Facebook and Twitter. Haven't done as much with the YouTube channel as we need to, but the LinkedIn has also grown dramatically. And the Unitas campaign is just another way via Facebook to get people that aren't traditionally engaged in economic development to actually know what's going on with what we're doing for the county. Again, more positive articles for our municipalities and the county, as well as the articles in our national and international media. We've been on the road trying to build that pipeline. So our focus, we can't, without projects, we can't win them. So we're trying to really go out there and find ways to get companies to come and be interested in Union County as a home. So we've exhibited at the Farnborough Air Show in London, gone to Hanover Messe in Germany, Speed News out in California, been in Florida, Austin, Texas, Kentucky, Nevada, you name it. We're going out there. We've also had our annual Groundhog Day event, which is a wonderful success for that as well. And again, as I mentioned, the industry appreciation and our broker appreciation day. Again, ways to develop relationships with people for the long term. And those people are the ones that help us fill the pipeline. Product development, we're working with the private sector on additional sites throughout the county. Spec Building 4 was bid and designed and bid, and it could not have come quicker. We're working with Indian Trail on siting an industrial park and trying to figure out how that we can participate, or they can participate to create their own industrial park. I've actually had our first meeting on that this past week. We're working with Waxhaw to site a park as well. The spec building that was bid is 109,000 square feet. Will require a 1,000-foot roadway extension as well as water and sewer improvements and improvements along Gold Mine Road, if you're familiar near Scott Safety in O'Neill and Glenmark. This was just awarded, and hopefully will be ready by next May. Here's the ugly. On the job creation side, you can see fiscal year 14, we were above goal. In 15, we far exceeded the goal, and in 16, came in well short. Investment side, same thing, $60 million goal, blew it over the top last year, or 2 years ago, and then last year, again, woefully short with $8 million. But again, looking at that unemployment drop over that same period. So we are digesting all of those jobs that we brought in over the past year. And at 4.3% unemployment, we are statistically at full employment. So at that point, you start to get into an element of the workers that just don't have the work ethic as much. So as we look ahead, existing industry seminars will continue. We're going to have our handbook come out before Christmas. continue to promote the manufacturing careers everywhere we can to keep filling that other pipeline of workforce that we need so much. Working with the local municipalities, as well as we're beginning a retail initiative this year. So we're working, it's an interlocal agreement among 5 municipalities to try to find a way to help not only improve the makeup of their retail, but just find ways to improve, I think, the quality of life by trying to find different types of retailers that will suit the needs of their constituents. Short-term concerns, lack of product, as we've talked about with the spec building coming online, that immediately brought 2 projects before it was even bid and the bids awarded. So just having the building, right now we have 1 building that's 19,000 square feet. Outside of that, I am out of product. So, and been that way for over a year. We've been preaching, trying to get the private sector to make an investment. Have not seen that come to fruition. So City of Monroe's building, soon, as we've said, as soon as that building starts to show up and look real, people are interested. So we're very excited about finally getting some product out there. 2016 is an election year. Every presidential election year, our activity drops significantly. This year is a year of years when you look at the presidential election, and so it's created more uncertainty, and so companies are just waiting. So come November, we expect our phones to explode as people know which direction the country will go. And finally, that pipeline that we're talking about is 37% of what we need to generate a year to maintain goals. So with that pipeline being so depleted at this point between several things out there, presidential election just being one of those and the lack of product, we're hoping that that will change in this next coming year. And again, you can see there where lead generation has been year over year. The yellowish in the back was the first year that we had the organization, the combined organization, then last year, then this year. So again, where have we been from July 1 to today? We've had $3.65 million invested, but this is the biggie. 204 jobs already announced. So we're seeing that turnaround already start. People are starting to get a comfort level, and so our industries are looking to finally make some real hard decisions with their hiring. As a result, too, we should, within the next several weeks, announce a significant investment, one that you've already passed incentives for back in March. So we're looking forward to that project hopefully coming to fruition, as well as several others, again, because of that spec building, bringing people in. So we're excited, very bullish on the future as we go forward, so we should have no problem making goal. So that's quick and dirty tonight. Didn't want to get in trouble, too much trouble, holding you up. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
If not, thank you again for supporting.
I've got a question. Why does United's hair, that guy doesn't look like mine and your haircut, it looks like Commissioner Lance Simpson's haircut. He needs to have your haircut. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I think I speak for the board when I say we're pleased with the economic development work that you guys are doing and look forward to continued success with your organization.
We're hoping 17 is going to be really, really positive. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have the item that was pulled from the consent agenda, item number 13. Mr. Jerry Simpson, you pulled this, and
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke with Commissioner Rushing a little bit earlier today. I had some concerns about this issue. Maybe not. My concerns may be a bit germane to the particular item, but at the same time, I thought relative to timeliness that I wanted to get it out and discuss. And Commissioner Rushing told me that unfortunately none of the school board folks would be able to be here this evening, and I certainly understand they had other commitments. And my intention was not to necessarily fill them out for information, but simply to raise my concern over this issue. As I understand it, Ms. Cotto, this is a $18,000 overage on these two projects. Is that right?
Yes, sir, and this is a little bit different than some of the other requests that you have seen. in which, at the last facilities meeting, they indicated that the issues were found when they were during construction on these two projects. They initiated the change orders. I mean, the work has already been completed. The money's already been obligated by them, and they're now coming back to us retroactively and asking for the funding flexibility. Typically, you see these before that commitment is made.
And I certainly understand that, and I think I've got a pretty solid track record on approving the request for changes with regard to roofing, and certainly that has been a big issue. I guess what created my concern was that I have received information that the Board of Education has moved $12,000 from their facilities budget to support promotion of the bond issue. And after all the meetings and listening to so many talk about the critical needs with regard to roofs and leaking roofs and facility in decay, it caused me a little bit of a heartburn with regard to that. So I wanted to ask them if that was in fact the case. And then that leads me to another point. I happened to go to their website and look, and was concerned about some information regarding what the cost is actually going to be of the bond. And I know that this county has found itself in trouble in the past where we borrow money and then we do not pass the cost of that borrowing on to the taxpayer. And so I certainly wanted to air this issue. I know it's a political season. I know it's going to be a political issue. Anytime you have an item on the ballot, it becomes political. There'll be pros and there'll be cons and there'll be fors and there'll be against. What I'm after is that the taxpayer has full information with regard to the impact it's going to have. And so I'd like to ask staff if they could to put that information maybe together for us for the next meeting and show the impacts of what those bonds are going to be should they pass.
May I seek a clarification?
Sure.
Are you wanting it on all three issues?
I think that would be in fairness to the taxpayer, yes.
Okay.
Okay. And Melissa Merrill and Leslie Boyd were unavailable to be here. Leslie's, I believe, out of town on business, and then Melissa Merrill had a prior meeting. And I did speak to Melissa, and she did confirm that they had voted to move approximately $12,000 out of the facilities committee into that, and then there was another $6,000 plus in another fund. So somewhere between $18,000 and $19,000 that they were using, that they had allocated to be used, not that they had used, but they could spend up to that amount. And so the motion would be to approve the roofing.
I haven't made a motion. I simply requested staff to provide that information at our earliest opportunity.
And we can do that without a motion. You don't need a motion for that, do you?
Just a consensus by the board that, yes, that you all concur with staff.
Okay.
And we'll put it on the October 3rd agenda.
Any discussion on that, or any?
Just so I understand, it's your understanding that not only 12,000 was moved, but an additional 6,000 beyond that?
Yes, and I apologize that I don't remember the fund that came from. So it's 18, but I think in the discussion it was 8. I asked her to have that sent to us, to exactly where that came from, so I think she'll be emailing the commissioners. They should send us that, but 18 to 19,000 was my understanding.
So potentially they've moved enough money to promote the bond to cover the additional roofing costs. So in my view, the priority is bond promotion and advertising over a roofing project. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, they and I don't know which account. Again, I apologize for not remembering the account that the other came out of, but 12 was out of facilities, my understanding.
I have a concern with this because not only are they moving the funds and asking for us to move additional funds, but the information that's being put out on that as a result of that expenditure is not correct. So I have a concern for that, and unfortunately, I wish they were here to answer a couple of questions, because I do have a concern with both of those issues.
Yeah. And it's my understanding this is not time sensitive, is it?
This one, no, it is not.
We could actually have staff go in and look at it and then bring us their information and then have them available at the next meeting to,
I think that's the appropriate thing to do.
everybody okay with that? Jerry, you fine with that?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So let's just, what kind of motion do you need on this, Jeff? Just a, nothing, or?
Just defer what you like, or take no action.
Okay, so just, motion would be to direct staff to come back and let's bring this issue back at our next meeting. Is that good for you, Jerry? Okay, I'll make the motion. All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Everybody okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just FYI, I had the opportunity to talk with their consultant this past week on the bonds and explained to him, he was telling me that the miscalculation on where we're coming up short was because they didn't include things like flashing and things of that nature, and it ran up the bill. So we had a lengthy discussion, and he agreed that they need to be more diligent in having a current bid proposal and to include all aspects of it so we stop this in the future. He committed to me he was going to make that happen in future bids, but we'll hopefully it'll deter this type of activity in the future.
And we discussed this a little bit. What was the understanding on the on this money for the for these bids? It was they were out there doing work on another school, or?
My understanding, and Michelle may have to help me because she actually was at the facilities meeting, is that work was actually taking place on these two, the Wolf School and, I'm sorry, I can't remember what other school it was. And they found an issue, which does happen in construction projects all the time, which needed to be addressed versus stopping work and coming and seeking approval. So apparently they directed their contractor, proceed forward, fix whatever you have discovered, and then retroactively coming back and asking us for that additional funding. Is that your understanding of the discussion? Okay.
Everybody okay with that? I mean, yeah. So it wasn't like it wasn't that they just told we're going to start a new project. It was just something.
No, it was, my understanding, it was discovered as part of the roof repair that they found out that there was additional work that needed to be done while the contractor was physically on the job site.
Okay. All right. Next, we have the appointment to the Nursing Home Advisory Committee. Anybody, number 19?
Did you all vote?
Oh, we didn't vote? Oh, I apologize. I thought we voted on that, I'm sorry. All those in favor of bringing this back at the next meeting for the school, the roofing issue, and also direct staff to come back with information that Commissioner Jerry Simpson requested. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Next, appointment to the Nursing Home Advisory Committee. We have vacancies exist on the Nursing Home Advisory Committee. Matt Norwood and Deborah Griffin have submitted their applications to serve on that committee. Oh, Lord. Laurie Abernather, Regional Ombudsman with the Central Agency, Area Agency on Agency, has spoken with both Mr. Norwood and Ms. Griffin and indicate that both applicants are eligible to serve on this committee. We have a motion on that?
I move that we appoint Matt Norwood and Deborah Griffin both to serve on the Nursing Home Advisory Committee.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right. That brings us to County Manager's comments.
I have no comments this evening.
Mr. Jerry Simpson,
None further.
Mr. Richard Helms,
Wish everyone a good evening.
Mr. Lance Simpson,
No comments.
Vice Chairman Akins.
No comments.
Well, I better keep my mouth shut too. With that, motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.